Hey guys, Rich from Richmond Gaming. Hope everyone is doing fantastically well. And this is a video that I'm really excited to be sharing with you guys. A couple of weeks ago now, I was invited into a content creators tournament that's going to be launching in the next week or so, with the concept being around limiting the number of boxes that we can select characters, tactics cards and crisis cards from. Now, one of the biggest barriers to entry of any game, especially a game that's been around now for a couple of years, is there are so many options out there for brand new players, and more often than not they do not know where to start. And the biggest question that I and a lot of other content creators get asked is, I'm starting out in the game, I've bought the core box, where do I go from here? So the concept of this video and then the tournament that is about to kick off is going to be a group of us content creators who are all going to create a competitive, fun, semi-competitive roster, only using the core box itself, plus then 3 additional character packs that we can choose from, and building our roster of 10 characters, 6 crisis cards and 8 tactics cards just from those 4 boxes in total. Now, everyone that knows me knows that I am a massive Brotherhood player. I also love my Brotherhood with some Thanos. So for my roster, I've looked at how I can incorporate the list I would normally play, but changing things up a little bit to accommodate the core box and some of the tactics cards that I just won't have access to. So let's jump straight over to TTS and we'll take a look at what it is I'm picking from. So here in front of me then, you can see that we've got the contents of the core box, which are here, and then we've got the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver pack, the Magneto and Toad pack, and then the Thanos pack here as well. As I mentioned, I wanted to keep my Brotherhood list as true to what I'd played previously. Obviously not going to have access to things like field dressing or all you've got on a couple of the other tactics cards and indeed crisis cards that I played with. But for me personally, I approach this as which characters do I want to play. And that would be my advice to anybody new coming into the game, is start out with an affiliation that you want to play and look at those 1 or 2 boxes that come for those affiliations. Probably comes as no surprise then that I'm going to be starting out my roster with my Brotherhood leader, who is going to be Magneto. So we'll pop him down there for the moment. And he will be joined by Toad, by Scarlet Witch, by Quicksilver, and of course by the Mad Titan himself as well. So already have 50% of my characters for my roster there. Next then, I want to look at some Infinity Gems to take along with me as well. Now, I'm a fan of taking 2, sometimes 3 Infinity Gems for Thanos, and this roster is going to be no different. So we're going to be taking the Mind Gem, we're going to be taking the Reality Gem, and we're going to be taking the Time Gem. That then leaves me with 2 spots left on my 10-person stroke gem roster, and for me the strongest character in the core box right now is Baron Zemo, so he's going to be going straight in as another 3-point option. This then leaves me with 1 spot left on my roster for a character or another gem, and not wanting to take any more gems, there were 3 characters that for me stood out on the core box that would fit well within my roster. Now, these 3 characters were Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel dishes out some really nice energy damage, one thing that I'm lacking in my team. She also has pretty good defensive stats. She's also a 4 threat cost, which is something I didn't have in my team as well. And the Danvers special, allowing her to pick up an enemy or a piece of terrain of size 3 of less, is going to play into Magneto's leadership ability really nicely. Dr. Octopus, another 3 threat with a really good energy attack as well, but also Ox Clutches at 3 cost allows him to throw a size 2 terrain. And then lastly then was Black Widow, coming in at 2 threat. She's a really strong 2 threat, as we covered off in my tier list the other day, so I thought that she could slip in quite nicely. But in the end, I did decide on Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. She's a 4 threat that I don't have, and as I mentioned, that energy attack plus her ability to throw terrain and characters is going to play really nicely into my list. Next then was on to the tactics cards that I had to choose from. So we have the tactics cards that come with the core box himself here, plus then the tactics cards that come with the 3 character packs I'd chosen. Now, there were some straight up obvious ones that I was going to go for. First of all, Asteroid M is a really strong Brotherhood card, as is Magnetic Refraction, Personally, I also really like the 4 tactics cards that come with the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver box. So all 4 of these are going straight into the list. Now typically in my Brotherhood and in a lot of other lists that I play, I like taking the combination of All You've Got and Field Dressing as my 2 restricted cards. Obviously not having access to those, I did decide that I was going to take Patch Up, which then left me with Brace for Impact as one of the restricted card that I could take. However, I decided to play it a little bit different this time and take the card Smash, a card that I don't usually take at all, allowing a character to spend 2 power to destroy a piece of interactive terrain that is at least 1 size less than them. My thought process behind this is that I'm really looking for some turn 1 plays where I can generate some extra power, and even if it's Thanos in the team, he is size 3, he can spend 2 power to destroy a size 2 terrain and then dish out some additional power to some of the other team members. And that is it for my tactics cards. So we're running Asteroid M, Magnetic Refraction, Can I Borrow That, Difficult to Please, No More Mutants, The Whims of Chaos, Patch Up, and then Smash. So lastly then was to pick which crisis cards I was going to be taking. Now the thing with the 6 crisis cards that come in the core box is that they are all 17 threat cards, which means that the vast majority of games we're going to be playing have a much higher percentage of being 17 threat, which is why I wanted some flexibility in my main roster list. However, with that, what I'm looking to try and do is throw in a couple of curveballs with my 14 threat from my Magneto pack, the Mutant Extremists, and my 16 threat from my Thanos pass, the Cosmic Invasion, try and force my opponent into a threat size that isn't 17, hopefully giving me the upper hand. So once I'd selected these 2, it meant that I had to get rid of 1 of each of the 17 threats from the core box, so 1 secure and 1 extract. And the first one to get rid of for me was very, very easy, which was Spider Infected Invade Manhattan. As you can probably tell by my roster, even if we go to the maximum of 17 points for my list, I'm still only going to be 3 characters wide, 4 at the absolute most. So having 5 things to interact with doesn't really play well into my hand. The other 3 cards, Infinity Formula, Riot Sparks, and Deadly Meteors, are actually quite nice for the roster that I'm running, but I decided to get rid of Riot Sparks. So here we are guys then, this is my final list for the 3-box challenge using just the core box itself and then the Magneto and Toad box, the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver box and the Thanos box as well. So starting then we've got Magneto, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, Thanos himself and Toad. And we're also going to be taking from the core box Captain Marvel and Baron Zemo. In addition to our 7 characters, we're also taking the Time, Reality and Mind Gems. For our crisis cards, we've got the Cosmic Invasion from the Thanos box, Deadly Meteors and Infinity Formula from the core box. We've got the 14 threat Mutant Extremists from the Magneto box, plus the 17 threat Skrulls and Struggle for the Cube, both from the core box. For our tactics cards, we're taking Asteroid M, Can I Borrow That, Difficult to Please, Magnetic Refraction, No More Mutants, Patch Up, Smash, and then Whims of Chaos. Now guys, in addition to this, there are 15 other content creators out there who have all put their list together. So I would highly recommend heading down to the description of this video. You'll find links to all of those content providers. And I would imagine over the next few days, they're all going to be putting details out there. But in addition to that as well, I'm going to be live streaming every single game that I play. So you'll be able to see what list I take. You'll be able to see which list my opponent takes. And then hopefully at the end of it, we'll have some time to take a few questions and answers where you'll be able to ask myself and the other guys that are playing their reasoning behind taking those lists and get some feedback on the decisions we made. As always, guys, make sure that you've hit that subscribe button to be in with a chance to win our brand new character pack giveaway for the month of July. And as always, it leaves me with just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, bye for now.